Hey guys, PB here from the Home Automation Project. I hope you're enjoying the videos on my channel so far. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can set up your physical alarm keypad such as this one from Eufy in your Home Assistant seamlessly. I'm going to design a manual smart alarm control panel on the Home Assistant dashboard which you can use from your mobile devices such as from your tab or from your phone to control the home alarm system, which will be in sync with your physical device. I'm also going to show you some automations which will allow you to use other devices in your Home Assistant ecosystem such as your smart door locks and door contact centers along with your physical security device which is Eufy Homebase in my example. So this is going to be a value-packed video. Hope you stick around till the end, and if you do not forget to hit the like button. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's see how we can set up our Eufy keypad in Home Assistant, and on top of that how to set up a smart home alarm system so that you can integrate the Eufy keypad with other devices in your Home Assistant. So to start with, I have added the keypad here. You can see it's called entryway, and what I've done here is I have used one custom mode called night. So if you go to the custom button, you can see that I have set the mode night, and apart from that I have set up an access code so that you cannot switch off or switch on the alarm without a key code on the physical device. However, I'm going to show you how you can bypass that code through the dashboard alarm, and in case you want to set up a no code access to a dedicated dashboard on your mobile phone, you can do that using this solution. The other thing to check is if you go to your Homebase, you need to double check that you have got all your modes. I've got home, away, off, disarmed and night. So off is the current mode, but I can switch to disarmed as well, like so, and you can see that it has shifted to disarmed. If I show it on the keypad, you can see that all the 4 keys are lighting up, which means this is disarmed mode. If I click on off like so, then you can see that this off button is lighting up. So that's how you can shift between modes. Let me switch it back to disarmed. So this is just to test that your keypad is working fine. One thing is that when setting these modes up, you can set a timer or how long it takes. So for example, there's this alarm delay and leaving delay. So you can set up the timers here if you want, but what I've done in my solution, I'm not set up the timer here, but I'm rather controlling it from the software. So the alarm delay is something which you need to control from here. Unfortunately, Home Assistant does not allow a way to control this timing. So if you want the alarm to not to sound the moment your system is breached, you can update it here. I would ideally, for a home alarm setup which would be more in the normal time, like in the evenings, I would probably set the trigger time to something like 45 seconds, and for leaving delay I would be controlling from my dashboard, so I am not going to set it up here. And you can switch on the alarm and recording as well. You can set up other modes. So for example, in the night mode, alarm delay I will probably set it longer, but I will set the leaving delay shorter because mostly this alarm will be set up when we are inside the house. So unfortunately, these two timing values cannot be set from the dashboard, unlike say a ring keypad which works on Z-Wave, where you could set these timing values from the dashboard itself. You can't do that for Eufy Homebase. So that's about the settings on the app. Let's now move on to the Home Assistant and see how the next part of the setups can be done. Right, so back on my Home Assistant, as you can see, the entry keypad has come through. So if you refresh, if your Homebase is already integrated, and if you refresh the device and services, you will see that the keypad comes through. There are no controls that you can do on the keypad directly from here. And on a Homebase, as you can see, these are the guard modes here. And one thing to note is you won't see the mode of night, the custom mode that I've set up, and you will have to probably like guess which one of this is the night mode. So when I tried them on when I set up custom 2, it seems to be the night trigger the night mode. Anyways, the good thing is that we will be invoking the mode using the name rather than the custom mode number, so you don't need to remember here. Just remember the name that you gave in that custom profile on your Homebase, and we can use that directly. So the first step that we need to do is we need to set up a dashboard card. So if I go to my dashboard and if I go here, you can see this is the dashboard card I have set up. So the way to set this up is if you go edit and let's say go here and click on this one, plus button and then search for alarm panel, and you will see this come up. So here you can select the modes that you will allow. Based on that, these buttons will come up here. So if I add this height, you can see that option is there. And this code keypad will not appear by default, most likely if you have got a default configuration. The way to make this keypad appear is a setting that you'll need to manually update. This keypad is going to be pretty handy if you want to disarm the alarm. You need to enter the code, and the way we are going to set up the automation is that for arming any of the modes from the dashboard, you won't need the code to be entered. It will be passed through in the backend, but for disarming you'll need code to be entered, which is a general good practice. And you can choose other modes here as well. Okay, so I'm going to cancel this out because I already have my keypad set up. So just click on done. So this is going to be the dashboard, and the setting to show this numeric keypad is you will need to go to developer tools, and on there search for this alarm control home alarm. By default you will see this code format. I have set this to number, but it might be set to null. In my case it was set to null, so you have to update this to number and set the state, and that should show the keypad there. So very important step, remember to do that. Okay, next thing what we need to do is we're going to create a manual alarm control panel, which will be connecting to this smart home alarm dashboard. And if you see here, so if I edit this, you will see I have added the entity as smart home alarm. So my entity is not your normal, so you'll get this. You have got this home alarm, which is your default. You can directly put the home base, and then you have got your smart home alarm. So this smart home alarm is something which I have created in the backend as a manual alarm, and I'm going to show you how I've created it. It's basically a configuration YAML file. So if you initially create this card, you can switch from the home alarm to smart home alarm once you've created the smart home alarm here. So the reason for this is we want to control the instructions that go to Homebase itself through our manual control panel. So to do that, go to your code server in the backend, and first thing you need to do is you need to create a my alarm control panel.yaml file, and I'm going to go through the various sections of this file to give you a better understanding of what it entails. This is a standard manual alarm, and you can find the documentation in Home Assistant homepage, webpage. I will leave a link below to that documentation as well. Also, I will leave a link to download this entire YAML file and change it as per your needs, so that you don't need to remember all these steps. First thing we need to do is, as I mentioned, create this YAML file, and then in config.yaml you will need to add this line alarm control panel, include my panel.yaml. And the next thing you need to do in secrets, you need to enter the alarm code that you have set up in the Eufy keypad, and you need two lines here. One is just the alarm code, which I have set this 2431, and then you need this line as well, alarm code evaluator. I'll show you why you need this in the script, but basically the idea is that to keep this actual code in the secret so that it doesn't get exposed in normal text file. So the last thing that I've done is I've created a binary sensor which monitors all the door sensors. So in my case, in this example, I'm just using one door sensor, which is this one here, right here. So I'm using this door sensor for detecting if any of the doors are open or closed. So this is an example where I'm going to use the state of these sensors to decide whether we can arm the alarm or to trigger the alarm as well. So that's how we'll connect our Home Assistant devices to the Eufy keypad and the Homebase. Now let's go to the manual alarm file. So the first thing I need to pass is a code here. You can see the various standard timings. So the one thing is this arming time and delay time, as I mentioned. So the way I've used the arming time in the code here, I show you, is by adding a delay, so that is controlled from the panel dashboard itself. But if you arm it directly using this keypad, then this delay doesn't work, because there's no way to pass this to the Homebase or set the setting on the Homebase itself. So that's a bit of a bummer, but I guess if you resort to using most of the time using the dashboard itself, it should be fine. The other way to bring them in sync is not to add the delay here, but rather just set the same time, exact same time on the Homebase itself, which case they will be in sync whether you use the keypad or use the dashboard. It should work. Under this smart alarm section, we have given this as a name as a smart home alarm, and this one is going to just use the state of the alarm control home alarm. What I'm doing is I'm passing all the state changes that are happening on the home alarm, which is a home base, to the smart home alarm, and then based on that we are going to configure actual arming, disarming. And the other thing that I'm setting is code arm required as false. So this ensures that the main control panel or the keypad itself requires a code, but this specific smart home alarm doesn't require a code necessarily for arming. So there are three sections here: arm home, if you remember, corresponding to the three buttons. So I've got arm home, arm away, and arm night. Arm night is a custom mode, and then there's the disarm, which is your default section for disarming. So here what I've done, first thing is I've tested condition. You can test multiple conditions. For example, if you have alarm door locks, you can test them as well. The only thing I've tested as an example is that the state of the door sensor is off. And then I've got a sequence of actions. The first thing I do is I set the home alarm. I switch on the alarm control panel. This is the dashboard's alarm. I switch that on, then I wait for 30 seconds because I know I put a time of 30 seconds there, and then I set the state on the home base. And the default is if the condition fails, then what I have done is I've written a normal TTS automation. I'll show you the automation later. It just basically goes to my Alexa here and just says a message that it was not able to arm the alarm. You can do it, you can optionally maybe switch on a light or something else if you want to do it, but I find it easier if it is just a TTS message. So this is a very simple automation, as you can see. So for 3 states, so this one I'm setting the arm as away, and also on the home base I'm also setting it as away mode. And if you see, the third mode is the night mode, and here also I'm setting night. Now one thing is, you can vary these conditions obviously depending on which mode you're setting. So for example, for the home mode I might not want to check the outside doors, blocks I might not be interested in those when setting them, but I might be interested in, definitely in the away mode or in the night mode. So that's up to your requirement, what all conditions you want to check before the alarm is armed. And then the disarm, this is an important one. For disarming we need the code, as I mentioned earlier. So it definitely, so first thing we check in the condition that the code that is entered on the dashboard actually matches the code that is required. And then for disarming our alarm on the dashboard, it doesn't need a code. If you remember, we have set the disarm, so we can bypass, because we are doing it from the backend, we can bypass the code step. But for disarming the home base, we need to pass this alarm code into the home base. In the Eufy mobile app we have said access code required, so that's why we need to send this. Now the next part to this is the automations that I've set up. For the automations, if you go to settings, automations and scenes, so these are the 2 automations that are relevant for now. So first automation is this TTS, which sends a message to my Amazon Echo when it fails to arm the alarm because one of the contact sensor is open. So I don't have any trigger condition on this because I'm calling this directly from that script YAML file. The only thing I have is an action, which is sending a notification Alexa Media Office Go, and the notification is enabled. And the other automation is this: whenever I'm clicking on the dashboard, when I go to this smart home alarm, let's say I click on smart home, so it goes into arming mode, and for 30 seconds it will wait, and then goes into armed. I found it useful to just say it out loud on my speakers that alarm is armed or alarm is disarmed. Especially the disarmed notification is pretty good and important, I feel. So for that I have created this automation. So it just checks for any state change on my smart home alarm, and then what it does is it sends a notification. I've used a template where it says smart home alarm is, and then I check the state. The reason I have this if condition is it literally speaks out the actual system state, so it will say armed _ home, whereas I wanted it to say armed home, which is more user friendly, I would say. So now with these 2 automations in place, let's go and set the various modes of the alarm and see how it works. Before I set up the keypad, I wanted to show you this state. Right, so it shows the state as open. Let's try and close this. You can see that the state is closed, and then if I move this away, it's open. So we are definitely getting the state from this contact sensor correctly. So it's closed now. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the dashboard, and I'm going to try and arm this. But as you remember, we have a check that this contact sensor is closed, so I'm going to open this. That should do it. And let me try and arm this, and I'm going to move my mic closer to my echo speaker here so that you can see my automation is working as well.
Unable to arm home alarm. A door is open.
So there you go, it was not able to arm the home alarm because the door is open. So let's change this to close status. Hopefully that should do it. Yeah, that should be now in close status. So let's try and arm this, and also let me show you. Currently it is disarmed. You can see all the lights are on. So let me now click on, so you see I'm not entering any code here. If I try to arm this directly from here, you can see it's asking for code, and if I enter the code here 2431, so you can see that this one is armed now, but the status on the control panel has not changed. That is because we have not set up. So what we need to do is we need to set up an automation to change the state on this whenever you are arming or disarming the home base from the keypad itself rather than from the dashboard. So let's set up that automation. So I've added an automation which checks for the state change of home base, and I've only added 2 conditions at the moment as an example, but you can obviously add the condition for the other state changes. So the first one is for the checking for the armed home confirmation. So the home base is armed home, and it also checks that the state of the smart alarm is not already armed home, in which case it executes home on the smart home alarm, and that should keep that in sync. And the other one is disarmed. So the disarmed one is a bit more tricky because you need to pass the code. So it checks for whether the home base is disarmed or off, and based on that, what I've done is I've written a script because we don't want to expose the code on the automation. So this script, I'll show the script. So if you go to backend under my scripts, I've added this script, which basically I'm going to put here secret alarm code, save this, and then let's reload the script. And what this will do is the script is using secret in the backend so that you don't expose the alarm code onto the automation itself. So if I go back here, then again I will leave the script in the link in the description so that you can download the script. And way to modify is you will have to go to the YAML mode, and you can probably copy paste this section for the other states and update it. So with this done, let's go back to the dashboard, and I'm going to now arm this first from the keypad. That should ideally set the home status here. I'm also going to put the mic near my echo so that you can hear the message that will come through when the state changes.
Smart home alarm is arming. Smart home alarm is armed home. So
there you go. So this got armed home. Obviously there was this 30-second delay, and that's why it's better to set this identical delay on the home base itself so that the timings match. But as you can see, the automation is taking care of keeping this together. Now if I try to disarm, won't work because you need the code here. Same here. So you can see the state here, you can see that it's armed home. Now to disarm it from the keypad, I'm going to have to enter the code from here, and I'm going to hit disarm. There you go. And if you can see here, you can see here that it is disarmed. In the last part of this video, let's have a look at how the triggering of this alarm keypad is going to work in sync with the dashboard alarm keypad that I have here. As you can see, the alarm is currently in the disarm mode. So first thing I will do is I will arm it, and then we will trigger it by opening this contact sensor here. So we're going to open the contact sensor in armed mode. That should trigger the alarm, and then we are going to disarm it once from the dashboard keypad and once from the physical keypad here, just to show you that it works perfectly. For this, there's an automation that you need to do. If I go to the automation, you can see this automation called alarm trigger home base alarm when doors open. So what I'm doing here is checking for the state of the sensor. You can add more states here, and I'm also checking for the state of the home base, and then I'm testing for any of the 3 conditions that the smart home alarm is on home, away, or night. Based on that, I'm triggering the home alarm using this alarm control panel trigger inbuilt method. Now I'm also doing a conditional check that home base is not in a triggered mode. We are going to trigger the home base as well. So it's a very simple automation. Again, I'm going to leave the download link in the description so that you can the script and play with it based on your own home assistant setup. And another important thing that you need to make sure is in this alarm control panel script that we have created, this trigger time cannot be 0. This is basically the duration for which your alarm can stay in the triggered state, and if it is 0, and if you're going to trigger the Homebase, it will end up not doing anything on the smart home control panel. So I put it for 120 seconds. You can have it lower or higher if you want. Other thing to note here is that the trigger time under disarmed is 0. This is just to avoid the smart home panel to get triggered when it is in the disarm mode. So these are the two key changes that you need to do in your alarm control panel YAML file. Okay guys, so let's go to my dashboard and let me show you first. If you can see, it's in the off mode at the moment, which is kind of disarmed. So I'm going to arm it by clicking on this button, and once it's armed, we are going to trigger it. So let's do the arming. Okay, now the alarm is armed, and let's check. Yeah, you can see that the status is armed. So I'm going to now trigger it by opening this contact sensor here, like so, and you can see immediately the alarm gets triggered, and we can now disarm it. Let me disarm it from the keypad, disarm, and right away it's disarmed. You can see it is disarmed. Okay, now let's arm it again, and then I'm going to trigger it, and I'm going to disarm it from this keypad just to show that it's working from both ways. Let's click on the arm. Okay, so the alarm is now armed. I'm going to trigger the alarm this time again by moving out the contact sensor, and as you can see, the alarm is triggered now. So I'm going to now disarm it by using the keypad. And immediately the state of the alarm goes to disarm. So you can control the alarm from both your keypad and from your dashboard seamlessly with this setup. So that will be all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you like such videos, and if you are interested in seeing more such videos on my channel, do not forget to hit the subscribe button, and any questions or comments, do not forget to leave them in the comment section below, and I will be more than happy to help you. I'm going to bring some more such interesting videos in the near future, such as those around local AI and local voice assistant. So stay tuned for more such videos, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay safe and stay connected.